You've probably felt this before. Someone walks into a room, says almost nothing, and somehow everybody notices them, not because they're the loudest, not because they're the best looking, but because they understand one psychological trigger most people never see. And here's the crazy part. Once you notice this dark psychology trick, you'll start seeing it everywhere. In dating, in friendships, in movies, even in interviews and social media. But there's a dangerous side to it too. Because the same technique that creates instant attraction can also become emotional manipulation if used the wrong way. And by the end of this video, I'm going to show you exactly how it works, why it's so powerful, and the subtle mistake that makes most people completely immune to attraction psychology without realizing it. Why dark psychology creates instant attraction. Let's clear something up first. When people hear dark psychology, they imagine some evil mastermind controlling minds like a movie villain. Reality is less dramatic. Dark psychology is really about understanding hidden emotional triggers inside human behavior psychology. And attraction is emotional before it's logical. People don't first decide with reason. They react emotionally, then justify it later. That's why someone can say, "I don't know why I like them, I just do." That feeling usually comes from subconscious psychological patterns. Now here's where things get interesting. The most attractive people are often the ones who create emotional uncertainty. Not confusion, not toxicity, uncertainty. Because the brain is naturally drawn toward things it hasn't fully figured out yet. The incomplete puzzle effect. Imagine watching a movie that suddenly cuts off before the ending. Annoying, right? Your brain hates unfinished patterns. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect. People remember incomplete things more than completed ones. And this dark psychology trick works the exact same way in attraction psychology. People become obsessed with what feels slightly unresolved. That's why mysterious people seem attractive. Unpredictable texting creates emotional tension. Confidence mixed with restraint feels magnetic. You're not giving the brain closure. And the brain keeps returning to unfinished emotional loops. This is why oversharing too quickly kills attraction. The mystery disappears. The emotional puzzle gets solved too early. And this is where most people make a mistake. They think attraction comes from proving their value non-stop. But psychologically, attraction often grows in the space between certainty and curiosity. Why scarcity increases psychological attraction? Now this next part might surprise you. One of the oldest dark psychology techniques is scarcity. Humans naturally value things that seem rare, limited, or difficult to access. That's why luxury brands limit products, celebrities appear unavailable, high-status people don't chase attention. Scarcity creates perceived value. And yes, this applies to people too. If someone seems emotionally desperate, constantly available, or overly eager, the brain unconsciously lowers their perceived value. But when someone appears selective with attention, calm under pressure, and emotionally self-contained, instant attraction increases. Not because they're playing games, but because emotional control signals confidence. And confidence is one of the strongest triggers in attraction psychology. But here's the dangerous part. Some people intentionally fake scarcity to manipulate emotions. They disappear randomly, ignore messages strategically, create jealousy intentionally. That's where dark psychology crosses into emotional manipulation. Healthy attraction creates curiosity. Manipulation creates anxiety. Huge difference. The silent power of emotional mirroring. Have you ever met someone who instantly felt familiar? Like you'd known them forever. That feeling usually comes from mirroring. Mirroring is one of the most powerful social psychology tricks because humans subconsciously trust people who feel similar to them. This can include matching body language, matching speaking pace, repeating emotional language, reflecting energy levels. If someone leans in slightly, and you naturally do the same, connection increases. Because the brain interprets similarity as safety. Politicians use this, salespeople use this, even elite negotiators use this. But here's where things get interesting. The best mirroring is subtle. If it becomes obvious, it feels creepy. And skilled manipulators know exactly how to weaponize this technique to create fake emotional intimacy fast. That's why some people feel too perfect too quickly. They're studying your emotional patterns and reflecting them back at you. It creates the illusion of deep compatibility. Why emotional contrast is so addictive. Human emotions work through contrast. Cold feels colder after warmth. Silence feels louder after noise. And attraction works similarly. One powerful dark psychology trick is emotional contrast. Someone gives attention, then pulls back slightly. They become warm, then emotionally distant. They create highs and lows. The emotional inconsistency creates dopamine spikes in the brain. And dopamine isn't just pleasure, it's anticipation. That anticipation creates emotional attachment. This is why toxic relationships can feel addictive. The unpredictability keeps the brain chasing emotional rewards. And this is where most people confuse attraction with emotional dependency. Real attraction feels calm and exciting. Manipulation feels addictive and unstable. That distinction matters more than people realize. The confidence illusion most people fall for here is something nobody talks about. A lot of what people call confidence is actually emotional non-reactivity. The person who stays calm under pressure appears more attractive psychologically. Why? Because emotional control signals status. If somebody desperately seeks validation, approval, or reassurance, the brain unconsciously reads that as insecurity. But when someone seems emotionally grounded, they appear powerful. Even silence becomes attractive. And now this next part might surprise you. Many dark psychology techniques are simply exaggerated versions of emotional self-control. For example, speaking slower, pausing before responding, maintaining eye contact, not over-explaining yourself. These behaviors create perceived confidence. But again, intention matters. Authentic confidence attracts naturally. Manufactured confidence can become manipulation when the goal is emotional control over others. The forbidden knowledge effect, let's be honest. Part of why dark psychology goes viral is because it feels forbidden. Humans are naturally curious about hidden social power. People want to know how attraction works, why some people become irresistible, why certain personalities dominate attention, and the truth is, most attraction is happening beneath conscious awareness. People are constantly reading tone of voice, body language, emotional certainty, social status signals, attention patterns, usually without realizing it. That's why attraction psychology feels mysterious. The brain is making emotional calculations faster than logic can explain them. And once you understand those patterns, social situations start making a lot more sense. The most dangerous dark psychology technique, now here's the part nobody warns you about. The most dangerous dark psychology trick isn't mystery. It isn't scarcity. It isn't mirroring. It's validation withdrawal. This happens when someone gives emotional approval, then suddenly removes it. The brain starts chasing the lost validation. Why? Because humans fear emotional loss more than they value emotional gain. This psychological effect is incredibly powerful. And manipulative people use it constantly. They make someone feel special, then emotionally cold. The target starts working harder for attention. That's how emotional dependency begins. And this is where attraction psychology becomes dangerous, because real attraction should never require emotional suffering. Healthy connection builds security. Manipulation builds obsession. Remember that? How to use attraction psychology ethically. So does this mean all psychology tricks are evil? No, understanding psychology isn't bad. It becomes dangerous when the goal is control instead of connection. Here's the healthier way to think about it. Use confidence without arrogance. Use mystery without dishonesty. Use emotional intelligence without manipulation. The most attractive people aren't usually the most manipulative. They're simply emotionally aware. They understand timing, emotional energy, communication, social dynamics, and they stay authentic while using those skills. Because long-term attraction is built on trust, not mind games. Mind games create temporary intensity. Trust creates real connection. Why most people never notice these tricks? Here's the scary truth. Most psychological attraction happens automatically. People don't realize why they feel drawn to someone, why they suddenly lose interest, why certain personalities dominate rooms. The subconscious mind notices patterns before conscious logic catches up. That's why first impressions feel so powerful. And once someone understands dark psychology techniques, they start recognizing emotional influence everywhere. Advertising, dating, leadership, social media. Friendships, you begin seeing the invisible emotional mechanics behind human behavior psychology. And honestly, that awareness can protect you just as much as it empowers you, because the people easiest to manipulate are usually the people who think manipulation never happens. So remember the story from the beginning. That person who walks into a room and instantly gets attention. Most of the time, it's not magic, it's psychology. The real power isn't learning how to manipulate people. It's learning how emotional attraction actually works, so you can recognize the difference between genuine connection and psychological control. If you found this interesting, you'll definitely want to watch the next video where I break down the psychological habit that makes people instantly respect you without saying a word. And if you enjoy videos about attraction psychology, human behavior, and social dynamics, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one.